Philip Jayhawk Chand is the president and CEO of Lightspeed Investing, and he brings a unique perspective to the world of finance and investing. As a once aspiring surgeon who experienced the depths of burnout and disillusionment within the medical field, Philip's journey took an unexpected turn when he stumbled upon the transformative power of Lightspeed Investing. With newfound hope and determination, he embarked on a relentless pursuit of knowledge, immersing himself in the intricacies of different asset classes. It was through a serendipitous collaboration with a group of former medical professionals, now turned investment experts, that Philip unlocked the secrets to accelerating wealth creation in ways that surpass his wildest dreams. And before we start this episode, a quick word from our sponsor, Deep Wealth, and the 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery Program. Here's Jane, a graduate, who says, and I quote, "The Deep Wealth Mastery Program prevented me from making what would have been one of the biggest mistakes of my career. I almost signed on the dotted line with an unsolicited offer that I now realize would have shortchanged my hard work and my future had I accepted that offer. Deep Wealth Mastery has tilted the playing field to my advantage." Or how about Lynn? Wow, he gets right to the point, and I quote, "Deep Wealth Mastery is one of the best investments ever made because you'll get an ROI of 100 times that. Anyone who doesn't go through this will lose millions." And as you're listening to these testimonials, are you wondering if you have the time? Are you even thinking that you've got this covered? You have the advisors or people in your network? Well, I got to tell you, these myths, they're often behind the 90% failure rate for liquidity events. Think about it. You have one chance to get it right for your financial freedom. You really want to make it count. And when it comes to time, let's hear what William has to say. We just got in this testimonial. William says, and I quote, "I didn't have the time for Deep Wealth Mastery, but I made the time and I'm glad I did. What I learned goes far beyond any other executive program or coach I've experienced." So what do you think? As I hear that, that's exactly what gets me out of bed every day. That's my mission. That's the team's mission here at Deep Wealth, to literally change the social fabric of society, one business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. And my Deep Wealth Nation, what I want you to know, the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, it isn't theory. It's from the trenches. It's the only one based on a 9-figure deal. And that deal, that was my deal. You know my story. I said no to a 7-figure offer. I created a system that later on, myself and my business partners, we said yes to a different buyer, a different offer, a 9-figure deal. That's what we now call the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, or the Scale for Ultimate Sales system. It's built by business owners for business owners. So if you're interested in growing your profits, for preparing for a future liquidity event, and that may be 2 years away, it could be 22 years away, whatever the time may be, you want to do this now, and you want to optimize your post-exit life. Deep Wealth Mastery is for you. To get started, email success@deepwealth.com. Again, that's success, SUCCESS, at deepwealth.com. You'll receive all the information about the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, or better yet, why not hop on a complimentary strategy call? We'll go through exactly where your business is today and what's standing between you and your financial independence and your dreams. So that's where you want to be. You want to be with other successful business owners, entrepreneurs, and founders just like you. They're looking to grow their businesses, create market disruptions, and unlock their financial freedom to get what they deserve. And whether you've been in business for 3 years, 40 years, you're a startup, you're in manufacturing, you're in high tech, low tech, whatever the case may be, come on in and network with other business owners. It's a safe space. It's a confidential space with business owners, with businesses just like you, because they all want to lock in their financial freedom and enjoy both success and fulfillment. So again, the 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery Program, it has your name on it. All you need to do is take the next step. Please send an email to success@deepwealth.com. Welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast. I have a rhetorical question for you. You know me, I love my rhetorical questions. Would you love to know how the wealthy become ultra wealthy, and how the ultra wealthy take it to the next level and stay there? Because it's not just about your business as you look towards your wealth. There's other things that you can be doing at the same time to get you there. And that's all about what we're going to be talking about on today's episode with our very special guest. So Philip, welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast. An absolute pleasure and delight to have you with us. And I'm curious, Philip, there's always a story behind the story. What's your story? What got you from where you were to where you are today?
Wow. First and foremost, thank you so much, Jeff. And for me, my story really comes from not finding fulfillment in the career path that I thought I was going to have happiness in. I've always been one to forge my own path. And when I explored the medical field and decided becoming either a plastics orthopedic or cardiothoracic surgeon was going to be my thing, I really went into it thinking that I would have my life set as traditional advice and traditional culture says. However, as I became more and more immersed in the medical field, what I realized was, yes, I could be making $500,000 plus minus as a guaranteed annual salary. But the exchange is I would be stuck in the OR rooms pretty much all day, every day. And, initially the hands-on appeal really, appealed to me as well, right? Because I've been an athlete my whole life, basketball player, Jayhawk raised in Kansas, so to speak. But really, when I saw what my sister had went through as well, her being a child neurologist, graduate from KU Med, and all my fellow social circle going through that same environment, for me, I've always had this business personality coming from Hong Kong. And naturally, when you have to study for hours and hours, it diminished my business personality. That was one of those biggest pain points that I realized this is not going to work out, man. The only time I actually got to talk to someone, Jeff, was when I would take a break to get Starbucks or when I would go take food breaks because the mock MCAT's like 8 hours now with the new exam. So anyways, I knew that for me, I had to pivot into entrepreneurship to find time, location, and financial freedom for myself. I also have my own goals and dreams and wanting to own an NBA team someday. And that requires at least several $billions. So having a certain salary was not going to get it done.
I love those lofty aspirations that you had. And let me ask you this before we jump into what you're doing and how you're helping others and the system that you've come up with.
Yeah.
It must have been a really bold move because it sounds like within your family, within your circles, they're going along this expected path, which education, something in the medical field, doctors, surgeons, whatever the case may be. And you began to go down that path, but you were smart enough to say, hey, great for the family, perhaps not so great for me. So what was that like internally? And the reason I ask that, so many of our listeners have these superpowers, but oftentimes it's family or societal pressures. We're held back from that. Jeffrey, be a good boy and go become this profession or that profession, not an entrepreneur. So what was it like for you, that journey, and any insights that you can share with our listeners?
Well, yeah, no, I love that you pointed that out. First and foremost, I've always been known to forge my own path despite whatever anyone else says. Growing up in the city of international commerce, which is Hong Kong, I was supposed to actually take over my dad's accounting firm. And for me, I'm a city boy that loves the suburbs. So one, I didn't want to wake up in the city. And two, I didn't want to wake up and do people's taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when my dad was like, okay, kiddo, what do you want to do? I said, I have no clue, but let me explore the medical field. And at the time, being a surgeon was the thing that resonated with me. They were obviously supportive of that. However, as I journeyed on, it also, another side of it too, and you're hitting it on the nail, it kind of became more like their decision more so than my decision. And so, yeah, it was tough. I mean, we went through this family tug of war between medicine and entrepreneurship because I'm the youngest of the family. And my older sister, she's a middle child of the family. She's a child neurologist. And so she had done it. So it was like, hey, your sister could do it and you're the son. Why can't you go handle business? But of course, it was tough because ultimately my personal goals and dream as I wanted to exit medicine was to own an NBA team. And that also is very contradictory to traditional norms and being an outlier. So yeah, lots of late night phone calls back and forth with the family. But ultimately I said, hey, look, you got to trust that I have skills and capabilities, that I'm not just going to wing it. I have a strategy. I'm going to go after mentors. And that from what you have seen as a young kid, I will make this work. So I had to kind of present my case, and whether they liked it or not, it was going to happen.
And what I love about that, Philip, for our listeners as well, you created a narrative for yourself that you controlled. And it was of the mindset that's benefiting you. Hey, I'm not going to wing it. Have some faith, have some trust in me. I'm going to look into this. I will find a way to have this work, even when it looks like it's not going to. And what I really value about these podcast opportunities, Philip, we're taking your lifetime journey, and in a very short period of time, we're distilling what worked, what didn't work, to save the heavy lifting for our listeners, and also the system that you created. So why don't you tell us, how did you get to where you now are? So you have this dream, hey, I'm going to own this MBA team. I'm not going to be the standard accountant or doctor, no offense to the medical community or the accounting community or all the financial professionals, just not for me. And so now you went about on your journey and you learned a lot. So what is it now that you're doing exactly with the ultra wealthy and taking that and offline, I said, geez, Philip, it sounds like you're the Robin Hood. You're taking these principles, these best practices, these strategies that only a very few people know, and you're now sharing it with everyone else. So what's that
Yeah.
all about?
No, absolutely. And I just want to preface before I jump into it, it wasn't like, hey, it happened overnight. So the number one thing that's really accelerated my success and journey, so to speak, I feel like I'm so far away from being successful. It's a constant, one step at a time type of thing and a constant pursuit of excellence. But really, it's relationships. Because, Jeffrey, no matter what business we are involved in, doctor, lawyer, engineer, restaurant owner, automotive repair, that is just a vehicle of business. But I think one of the things that really clicked for me was when I recognized that at the end of the day, we are all in the people business,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because when you shake hands with Apple, when you shake hands with Nike, or you shake hands with IBM, you're not doing business with the entity. You're doing business with the individual representing the entity. And also, the entity is always just an extension of the person. So I really made a point to go after mentors and relationships that would align with my goals and dreams that would want to help me. Of course, I had to pay the price, whether that be, in the form of time, money, or energy. And I had to
Mm-hmm.
do that for a while. So I gathered a lot of skill sets as well. So relationships and being a high income capability gatherer, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. I went after all things business and leadership development. I became a John Maxwell certified leadership coach. I networked in the highest caliber rooms I possibly could to
Mm-hmm.
position myself for success. And that is where one of the most life changing moments happened for me. When I ran into my current business partner now, who's been managing a hedge fund for the past 15 years. But more importantly, he himself is a gentleman born and raised in London, a former internal medicine physician who did not find fulfillment in the medical field. So as
Mm-hmm.
you can see, there was multiple layers to help reinforce the relationship. We did not find fulfillment in the medical field, both city boys, international business. So we just clicked. He was the last person that I had a conversation with, spoke for about an hour and a half, and finally walked out of the event together. So I just want to preface before I go into what we're doing now, like that is how it all happened in a very compressed manner.
Absolutely. And that's really the benefit, whether it's you sharing your journal with myself on this podcast, or we pick up a book and it's a person's lifetime journey within a few hours that we get to pick that up. And for our listeners, of course, Philip, this wasn't, oh, I'm going to wake up one day and boom, the system just landed. Lots of trial and error, lots of time,
Yeah,
lots of invested capital, things that didn't work, things that did work, continuing
exactly.
on more of what does work. So why don't we start with this? When it comes to the ultra wealthy, and whether they were an entrepreneur or in this case, as you're sharing, someone in the medical profession, what are they doing? What are the ultra wealthy doing that everyone else is not doing? In other words, what do they know that we don't know when it comes to
Well,
investing?
that's so funny. It's like the paradox of success. First and foremost, it's the attitude that they're willing to constantly learn. They're constantly investing in themselves. They're willing to pay the price to not just go network, but actually fly out of their local areas. That's what I had to do. For me, one of my mentors that I witnessed was when I saw Grant Cardone go from a non-billionaire to a billionaire.
Hmm?
So I've been around the 10X community for a while, since 2017. And that's actually where I met my business partner, because 10X is very known to host high caliber events,
Hmm.
right? But of course, from 2017, when I was doing my master's and working part time at the Kansas City Orthopedic Institute urgent care department, I went through like 20 different mentors before I shrunk it down to the top 3 to 5. And when I saw Grant Cardone become go from a non-billionaire to a billionaire, that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to really pay attention to this specific dude and his community, because that's what made the most sense. Success leaves clues. So my top 3 is Grant Cardone, John Maxwell, and Alex Hormozi. And that's who I kind of get influenced by. So my inputs are always getting, no matter what, I'm always getting fed by successful people who's done it. I mean, even at my early start, I would binge watch Shark Tank just to hang out with Mark Cuban indirectly, because he was a
Hmm.
billionaire on an NBA team. First and foremost, they have a great attitude to learn, invest in yourself, enhancing your own business acumen, going after high income skill sets that will pay you well, and growing and scaling those high income skill sets, right? And then, of course, being willing to network and shake hands and meet people. And also, it's not that simple. You don't just shake hands and be like, hey, you want to do business together? You have to have something to bring to the table.
Hmm.
See, I always call that a proposal announcement. Jeffrey, if I wanted something from you, it's like when you write an essay, I'm gonna write a thesis, but what are my supporting evidence and paragraphs? So proposing something, but announcing it in a way where, hey, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I would like to do with you, but here's how I'm going to back it up.
Exactly. And what's really nice about this, you didn't speak to people or find people as mentors who it was generational wealth. Nothing wrong with generational wealth. And if you're in that situation, terrific for you. But you found people who actually started, some of the people that you're mentioning, I know their stories. And wow, they weren't middle class. They were, if I can use the word, poor or economically challenged. And it
Exactly.
wasn't given to them. They had to find the way to get that. And it's a terrific point that you're bringing about now, Philip. When we're looking for people to mentor us, we don't have to know them personally. We can watch them perhaps on documentaries or on shows or read their books, see what's going on, listen to audiobooks, and really learn from them. So you started to do that. You
Oh,
picked
I did that a lot.
mentors. You picked mentors that went down the path that you're now going down and they got to where you want to go. And so that helps set the way. So you mentioned that mindset is one really important factor about the ultra wealthy. They have a different mindset perhaps than social programming and everyone else. Were there other attributes or characteristics that you're seeing of the ultra wealthy of what they're doing that everyone else seems to be missing or not knowing?
What's really funny, the mindset is like 90% of it. I mean, I was
Mm-hmm.
just in Phoenix for the 9-figure boardroom, and I
Mm-hmm.
had the pleasure of sitting next to a billionaire. And so he tells his story. And when you hear enough stories, certain point you find, even though they come from different backgrounds, there's a
Mm-hmm.
commonality to it, right? And so I don't want to say, oh, it's about thinking, toughing it out, but it's about having a strong mindset and then also executing and being resilient when you get feedback from your actions. Like on the basketball court, it's so easy to put up 10 shots. Like literally within a minute, I could have 10 reps. But in business, you have to realize there's a lag phase because one rep in business, let's just say a sales call, that could be a 15-minute call. That could be 30 minutes, right? Like I said, in basketball, one rep is literally 1 second to get your shot off. So recognizing that in order for you to become great, you have to be willing to put repetitions in and apply that knowledge that you're learning, and then being willing to be resilient and no matter if it worked or it didn't work, continue to go down the path and then seek guidance and make adjustments. But the toughest part is realizing that it's probably going to take longer than you initially thought it would.
So it's taking longer. You're learning what works, what doesn't work. Hey, it's the journey. And the journey, that's where it's at, is not the end goal and is enjoying the journey, as the saying goes. So, Philip, you're going down your path here, your own journey now.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you end up at Lightspeed Investing. So, talk to us. What's that doing? Because you took your journey, you took your passion, you put it towards yourself, and now you're helping others do the same. So, if I'm coming to you at Lightspeed Investing, okay, Philip, here I am. I heard you on the Deep Wealth podcast. I'm a business owner. Help me really accelerate my wealth, my financial freedom and independence. Let me get there a little bit quicker. What does that look like? What's the secret sauce?
I love that. So first and foremost, what we would do is we would teach you the skill sets that we have been utilizing
Mm-hmm.
to manage money successfully for high net worth individuals for the past 15 years. So we have a proprietary trading education system where we actually unveil how we manage money. And again, it's based on a skill set. So the markets that we trade, Jeff, is under alternative investments, specifically under derivatives. And we're subject matter experts in the futures and commodity financial markets. So how we would help you, first and foremost, is we would expose you to this game, to this universe, and give you a lot of background information that you would not be privy to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're so passionate about doing this. Because unless you're someone who is heavily immersed in the financial districts of the world, like the New York Stock Exchange or the Chicago Mercantile Exchange up in Chicago, you would not be privy to this information. You have to realize 70% of our methodology comes from the legend billionaire natural gas trader John Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
John Arnold, after graduating from Vanderbilt, was able to take 1.5 million to 1.5 billion in 2.5 years, allowing him to become one of the youngest billionaires in the US at age 33 back in 2007. And of course, since we represent a group of medical professionals, we've added additional prudence, professionalism, and ethics on top of Arnold's methodologies. So basically, in a very compressed manner, how we help business owners is we would teach you the skill set where you can have a supplemental income to grow and scale your business without relying on sales. As you know, Jeff, sales is the lifeblood of all businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Sales is very important. And in business, it's natural to have certain down months in the business cycle as well, right? This game that we're talking about is a 90% margin game, where if you learn the 5 to 7 proprietary factors that we have identified, you will no longer go into the markets with apprehension because you're going to be able to go into it with confidence. Retail traders lose money because they have no freaking clue what's going on. As a matter of fact, they approach the markets almost like they're gambling because they don't know what's going on. And that's why most of them lose money. So this is a great way for business owners to leverage a tool and a skill set at 90% margins, because the only overhead is your internet connection, your electricity bill, the computer in front of you, and the brokerage you're trading in front of, right? This is not brick and mortar. And we're not spending 5 to 8 hours in front of the screens, Jeff. This is being surgically precise. I'm talking about half an hour to an hour and a half. High frequency, short-term investing. And so most people, when it comes to investing, you have 3 segments. You have the initial barrier to entry, or the initial investment required. You have the runway, or time required to see profits, and then the actual ROI. So let's talk about real estate, for example. In real estate, let's say you put 20% down payment, okay, in the form of maybe 25K, 50K, or 100K. There's your initial investment required or barrier to entry. The runway is 3 to 5 years, typically, for your investment to break even and become profitable. Your ROI is an annual basis, 8 to 12%, 15 if you're lucky. The skill set that we teach allows you to take advantage of these markets like your own personalized ATM machine, because we're talking about 8 to 12% in a day.
And so, Philip, as you're talking about this, I mean, it sounds really exciting. I suspect, though, as with anything else, some people are better suited to this than other people. So let's talk with who would this not be for, generally speaking, characteristic wise, who shouldn't think about this, that, hey, probably not where you want to be. You're not necessarily cut out for this. Stop before you even start. What would that look like? And then we're going to go to.
I love that you're asking me that question. Definitely don't entertain this if you're looking for a get rich quick way of making money. Don't look into this if you're not willing to commit to learning something. Don't look into this if you're not willing to put the time in to better your life and your family. If you're someone that's just looking for a one-off way to go, oh, how can I create wealth but not put the work in, then this is definitely not the conversation. Because as amazing and compelling as this game is, as all things, it is a skill set. And we can teach you that skill set, but it's got to be a two-way street. If I am the world's greatest basketball coach in Phil Jackson, and you're supposed to be Michael Jordan, but you're not willing to come into the gym and put the reps in and go to work together, how are we going to ever win a championship?
So many other things in life. It's practice, it's time, it's investing, it's making the time. Hey, I'm busy, but I'm going to make the time to do this. That's part of what you're looking for. And so on the flip side of that, who would really excel in this? Because I can imagine some entrepreneurs, some people in the deep wealth community are saying, hey, Philip, I hear you, but wow, my business, I am flat out. That's all I have time for. The business is doing pretty well. It's actually growing, and next year will be even better than this year. What would you say to that person and to the people listening of, I'm just so busy in the business? What does that look like for them in your experience?
Well, listen, if you're a busy business owner, that's actually why we have certain strategies to help you go around this. So, for example, we can teach and train your team members. Imagine the concept of a sales department. How can you ever close a deal without picking up the phone? You first embrace leadership and you become a great salesperson and closer. And then you train someone and you have them become the sales manager of your company, and then you have them train other people. So when you have a fleet of, let's say, 15 people, dialing for you, at that point, you no longer have to pick up the phone and actually close those deals. Now, if it's a big deal, then yeah, you probably should be there. In the same sense, follow this concept, except replace the word sales department with internal trading department. So the people that would do really well is people who have a knack for pattern recognition. They are okay being in front of the screens for half an hour to an hour and a half. Right? They are excited to learn a skill set. They know that as long as they focus on the inputs, the outputs in the form of profits will come. Okay? Because all things, money here is a byproduct. Money here is a byproduct of the skill set. Money here is a byproduct of how well are you entering in on the trades? Are you entering in on momentum? Because you have to realize the markets in this specific case, if you know what you're doing, not only can you make money when the markets go up, down, or sideways, but as a matter of fact, in futures and commodities, the markets go down 67% faster than when it goes up. Okay, so most people in the stocks, like back in 2008, when they had the market crash, They freak out because let's say, Jeff, if you had $1 million shot to the stock market at the time, your $1 million would also collapse. But in this case, if you know how to time your entries before the market gets sorted, right, you're actually going to be in profit when the market goes down. And that's what makes futures and commodity such a special game. Now, there's some prudence that you got to have in terms of being a bit more emotionally and psychologically stable. And then that's why you want to follow a structured system where phase one, our clients, they learn and they absorb. Phase two, they make sure they practice on a simulated environment, making sure that they have more winners than losers on a consistent basis before they ever transition to live. So you got to be disciplined because we can teach you all these things, but at the end of the day, we're not next to you in front of your computer. And so if you want to toggle between simulated and live and not follow our advice and guidance, that's hard to become successful. So people who are willing to be disciplined or coachable, they have a knack of pattern recognition. They don't mind being in front of the screens for half an hour to an hour and a half. People who are too busy, once they see that this makes sense, this could be a great income supplement to their business so that they can grow and scale it, right? We can have a conversation where we don't have to train the busy business owner. We can train team members that are suited for this. And of course, for a lot of our existing clients, we also have an automated software that helps them with their trades. So I talk about John Arnold, who is the legendary natural gas billionaire trader in terms of our manual skill set. But we also follow James Simmons, who only entered this game when he was in his 70s. And he's currently in his 80s. And having been in this game for about a decade and a half or so, he's amassed a net worth of $20 billion and more. And the reason for that is because he is one of the pioneers in automated software trading that's actually worked. So for us, we're basically trying to be a hybrid of both John Arnold and James Simmons for that reason.
Terrific. So you're taking best practices of what's worked for people that have really broken through and have made a difference. Now, Philip, I want to go back to something that you said earlier, because for the listeners who may be hearing this for the first time, this is a new world for them. When they think of trading, when they think of derivatives, when they think of all these other things out there, the word gambling or risk comes in mind. That's the exact opposite, though, which for many was probably surprising because they said this is not gambling. Gambling is just going out in the stock market and picking this or picking that. So for those listeners, they're hearing this for the first time. They're saying, wow, it's not gambling. I never really thought of it that way. What's going on with that and your system, Philip? Why specifically this is not gambling? And I'll preface this by saying this is not financial advice. What we're talking about here, of course, everyone who's listening to this podcast, they should check with their advisors and their professionals for what we're talking about. But from your side, what would you say to that listener saying, wow, Philip, it's not gambling? How is this not gambling? How is this not risky?
I'm so glad you brought that up. That is a really astute question, Jeff, because what you have to recognize is there's two sets of investments. On the left side, you have traditional assets and investments like stocks, real estate, colleges, mutual funds, etc. And where we are specifically is on the side, alternative investments under derivatives. We're in the same neighborhood as cryptocurrency, art, luxury timepieces, etc. Now, the difference that denotes the two is that on the left side, you follow more so what we call fundamental analysis. Fundamental analysis states that, yes, global economic trends matter. Interrelatability of markets matter. Jeff, if you were to pick the stock Apple, Tesla, or Nike, and you say, I think it's going to go up, it's speculative in the sense that you are saying, hey, I think this company is going to do well, so I'm going to invest in it, right? But the difference here is you're not the CEO and you're not the executive running the company. It's speculative. You're saying from my research and due diligence, okay, from a fundamental analysis standpoint, I think this is a good bet. In the game that we play on the side here, it's under technical analysis, which means for you to become successful, everything you need is in front of you with the charts themselves, right? It's just simply about identifying 5 to 7 proprietary factors and following those 5 to 7 factors only when they are in confluence, when they are aligned, do you enter in a trade. So that's the difference. This is a game based off of pattern recognition in the form of technical analysis. Everything that you need to be successful is in the charts in front of you. And also, if you want to do your due diligence, this is something that was super mind-blowing to me. Like for me, right, I'm going to talk about from my own personal experience. If you didn't study medicine, right, as you know, there's a lot of rigor in doing that. If you didn't study college textbooks, But you studied the world's greatest, you studied the world's wealthy, you studied Forbes. You will find that page after page, after the top 10 wealthiest of the world, so to speak, are hedge fund managers, traders who play this game for a living. As a matter of fact, the world's top 42% play this game for a living. And so, of course, success leaves clues. So if you study people like John Arnold, study people like James Simmons, you would get more and more clues. And so that's essentially what we've done is we've crafted this system that allows us to take advantage of these factors that we're talking about, right? So what are these factors, right? Because it sounds so mysterious. Well, first and foremost, at the very basics, you have candlestick pattern recognition associated with proprietary indicators like buying and selling dots that we have implemented on our trading education platform, as well as specific algorithm numbers, right? Because when the movement of the markets hits certain algorithm numbers, they tend to do certain things. There's also specific reversal times where you could literally just trade off of those reversal times. Again, the name is reversal time. So when it hits these certain times, the market's going to reverse, right? This is something that's took us over a decade to figure out as well. So, just right there, that's the fourth factor. The fifth factor would be support and resistance. The sixth is volume. And then, of course, the seventh one is your moving averages. We have 3 specific moving averages that we pay attention to. And then, if you want to throw a number 8 in there, comparing and contrasting charts at different minute timeframes, the 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute, 30 minute, and the daily. So, there's a lot of, obviously, science that goes into it that we've crafted, but that's what makes it different. That the science that takes the uncertainty and randomness out of your natural, your retail trading mentality.
Absolutely. So instead of trying this on your own, or you read a great book or an article, here you are. You've taken the science, you've combined it with the technology. There's a certain methodology that you've put into this. And really, that's where the heavy lifting for the listeners, that you've done that for them, because now they can come along, learn the system, leverage the technology, and then apply it for their particular situation. How am I doing with that, Philip?
Yeah, you're pretty much spot on with that. Absolutely.
And in terms of some success stories, if you look to the community that you have, again, without going into confidentiality or naming names, are there some stories or some situations that, hey, this person came here and this is where they were, and now here's where they're at?
Tons. This is another reason why we're so passionate about pushing our educational division. Because, for the past 15 years, we've been managing money for high net worth individuals, helping them take 5 million to 6, 7, or 8. We get a little thank you, a pat on the back, right? But when we have clients who were struggling to make $5,000 a month, who are now able to make $5,000 a day, it's totally life-changing. Now, I just want to recognize everyone starts at different phases. So when you come in, you have certain personal financial goals that you want to hit. This is a game that can be scalable. So you have to know, okay, first and foremost, you practice on simulated, making sure you have more winners than losers consistently. And when you go live, you focus on making a couple $100 first. There's 20 trading days in a month. Even making $100 a day times 20, right? That's a pretty good amount to start with. But of course, you want to scale that. So maybe now you take it to $500 a day, multiply that by 20. And then you go $1,000 a day, multiply that by 20. And then you scale that grand to $3,000 to $5,000. And so one of our clients, he was a real estate investor making about $60,000 a year, who started with us, as a matter of fact, about a year ago in March. It took him about 5 to 8 months to get to where he is now. But you have to realize he was able to scale the skill set to 10 and 15 contracts a day. So when you're trading 10 to 15 contracts per trading day, that equates to $10,000 to $15,000 a day if you're doing it right. Okay. And so $10,000 to $15,000 a day multiplied by 20, that's on average $200,000 per month. Now, my sister, she's a child neurologist. She makes about $250,000 as a private practice physician. And that took her, what's the runway? A decade plus to go through med school, residency, fellowship. And so this gentleman that I'm talking about, it took him about 5 to 8 months to scale the skill set to 10 to 15 contracts. But, he's averaging $200K per month if he traded all 20 trading days.
Interesting. And as you're going through that, I love how in the beginning you said it's not just taking the system and then with real money, you're going out there and trying it out. You're what some people call paper trading, or in this case, it's electronic trading. It's not costing a penny, but it's like you're in the market. You're seeing how you're doing. You're perfecting your craft, perfecting your trade. And then when you're ready, when it's prime time, then you're ready to go out. So, Philip, what's interesting about this, because in the Deep Wealth community, in our Deep Wealth Mastery program, we're focusing on three things. How do you grow your profits? How do you increase your enterprise value? And then how do you optimize your post exit life before it actually happens? Now, for some entrepreneurs, some business owners, they love growing their portfolios, about trading and stocks. And even when they have a very successful exit, well, hey, that's terrific. The business is the old chapter. My new chapter, even though I don't have to do anything, I could be on a beach all day long. My next chapter is going to be I'm going to be trading. I'm going to be managing and investing my newfound wealth, my portfolio. What's nice about this, Philip, as we're growing the business, for those that are inclined, this is another skill set that they can add right now. And then as the business ramps up, as they go into an exit, this can be ramping up at the same time, and they can continue this if this is what brings them joy and fulfillment. So there's a lot that we've really been going through here. Let me ask you this before we go into wrap up mode. Out of every episode, wherever possible, we look for the low hanging fruit. It's one action that we can take that can really give us a very high ROI, because let's face it, after this episode, our listeners are going into their next meeting or their next activity or call, and sadly, will be out of sight, out of mind. So before that happens, we've talked about a lot, and this may be a tough question for you. What would be one thing that you've spoken about that if they just did this before going on to the next activity could make all the difference for them? It would have a high ROI.
That's such a great question, Jeff. What I would say is do your due diligence and look up John Arnold and look up James Simmons. Because if you did that, you would really be able to get some insights into how these individuals are able to create wealth. And of course, feel free to message me on LinkedIn. You can find me at Philip Jayhawk Chand. Because when you message me saying you come from the Deep Wealth Podcast, what I'll make sure to do is gift you a complimentary access to our paid client sessions. Because on a weekly basis, Jeff, we actually host these paid client sessions where we break down futures and commodity financial markets in the evenings, explaining how things happen and why they happen. In the mornings, we go live, we prove what we teach, and we actually make money in front of you by showing you our trades. That's one of the things that separate us and makes us so different, because we actually prove what we teach. So if you want to find me on LinkedIn, shoot me a message. Again, on Philip Jayhawk Chand. And yeah, that would be a great start. We can send you additional more information that way, on top of Googling John Arnold and James Simmons.
That's terrific. And in the show notes, we'll have how to get in touch with you. It'll be a point and click. It doesn't get any easier. For our listeners, did you hear what Philip is saying? They eat what they bake. So it's not just about, here, go do this. We're going to make money off of you. Hey, this is what we're doing. See it in action, see what's going on. And it's terrific, Philip, that you're really having what at Deep Wealth we call mastermind sessions, live mastermind sessions. See what's going on. Practice your craft, your trade, improve it, see how we're doing it, and we put that all together. And we're going to put that on hold for just a moment. We're going to come back to that momentarily. But as we go into what's really a perfect segue now into the wrap-up mode, it's a ritual, it's a tradition here on the Deep Wealth Podcast, Philip, where I have the privilege, the honor of asking the same question to every guest. Here it is. Let me set this up for you. It's a fun one. When you think of the movie Back to the Future, you have that magical DeLorean car that will take you to any point in time. So imagine now, Philip, it's a fun part. It's tomorrow morning. You're looking outside your window. Not only is the DeLorean car curbside, the door is open, is waiting for you to hop on in, which you do, and you're now going to go to any point in your life. Philip, as a young child, a teenager, whatever point in time that would be, what are you telling your younger self in terms of life lessons or life wisdom? Or, hey, Philip, do this, but don't do that. What would it sound like?
Wow, Jeff, that is amazing. I would go back to my younger self, probably in Hong Kong, and say, hey, you are destined for greatness. When you leave for America, just know that everything that you will go through is meant to stack as long as you're willing to work hard and be open-minded and embrace relationships as the number one accelerator of your success in life. I would say when I was younger, I knew that, but I didn't believe in it as much. I didn't see it as clearly as much. Being surgically trained, we always have a saying in the medical field, which is you take pride in being able to do 3 to 5 people's worth of work in a day, right? Oh, I don't need someone. I don't need a team. So I would go back to my younger self and say, hey, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And so I would probably go back in time and advise my younger self to embrace relationships more.
That's terrific advice. And I'm just thinking about that. Be open-minded, embrace relationships, know that you're destined for greatness. What a terrific way to cap things off and really send the listeners out with a wonderful narrative that we can be telling ourselves. And Philip, it's terrific what you shared of how you've taken what the wealthy, the ultra wealthy are doing. You're now making this accessible to everyone. And it's really a wonderful avenue as entrepreneurs, founders, leaders. We begin to expand our worlds and our skill sets and what we're doing to really make a difference out there. So, on that, Philip, it's official. It's a wrap. You are terrific. Thank you so much. Congratulations. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. And for our listeners out there, before we hand it back over to Philip, remember, please go to the show notes. It's a point and click. Get in touch with Philip and ask them to invite you to the sessions. You can see firsthand, real time, what's going on. What a gift, what a treat. Philip, thank you so much. It's been terrific to have you.
Thank you so much. I love that DeLorean question, man. That was amazing. And for the listeners out there, because this was such a great time with Jeff, feel free to book a call with our team. When you book a call, you will secure 2 weeks worth of complimentary access to our paid client sessions that will allow you to be more exposed to this great universe of trading, short-term investing, where you can leverage these markets like your own personalized ATM machine. And the last thing that I would have to say, Jeff, is it's not just about relationships, but the relationships.
Terrific relationships. And speaking of the right relationships, they can start off by booking that call with the team, getting all that right. It'll be all in the show notes. It won't be any easier. It's a point and click. Absolutely. Philippa, again, thank you so much. It's been wonderful to have you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
So there you have it, Deep Wealth Nation. What did you think? So with all that said, and as we wrap it up, I have another question for you. Actually, it's more of a personal favor. Did you find this episode helpful? Have you found other episodes of the Deep Wealth Podcast empowering and a game changer for your journey? And if you said yes, and I really hope you did, I have a small but really meaningful way that you can actually help us out and keep these episodes coming to you. Are you ready for it? The dramatic pause. I'll just wait a moment. Drum roll, please. Subscribe. Please subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast on your favorite podcast channel. When you subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast, you're saving yourself time. Every episode automatically comes to you. And I want you to know that we meticulously craft every one of our episodes to have impactful strategies, stories, expert insights that are designed to help you grow your profits, increase the value of your business, and yes, even optimize your post-exit life and your life right now, whatever you want that to look like. And every time you subscribe and a fellow entrepreneur subscribe, it's a testament to how together, yes, we are changing the social fabric of society. One business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. So don't let the momentum stop here. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast channel. You'll never miss an episode. You'll be the first to hear from the top industry leaders, the innovators, the disruptors that are really changing and shaping the business world. And maybe you're commuting, maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're taking a well-deserved break that we spoke all about on this episode. The Deep Wealth Podcast, it's your reliable source for the next big idea that could literally revolutionize your business. So once again, please hit that subscribe button, stay connected, inspired, and ahead of the curve. And again, your next big breakthrough moment, it might just be one episode away. Maybe it was even this episode. So all that said, thank you so much for listening. And remember, your wealth isn't just about the money in the bank. It's about the depth of your journey and the impact that you're creating. So let's continue this journey together. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much. God bless.